You wander through the cobbled streets of 18th-century Paris, dodging a fresh puddle of something suspiciously opaque. The air greets you like an overripe cheese left too long in a sunlit attic. Welcome to the city of light, before indoor plumbing. Paris, in this era, smells layered. Think rotting cabbage, wet wool, horse manure, and just a whisper of lavender. Above you, second-story windows creak open. A maid casually tips a chamber pot over the sill, and you instinctively step aside. Too late. Your shoe now bears the unfortunate signature of someone else's breakfast. You sigh. So does everyone else, constantly and not from relief. It's not that people didn't care about cleanliness. It's just that they had different strategies. Soap was expensive. Water had to be hauled up countless stairs. Public fountains existed, but mostly for drinking or flirtation. Bathing? Well, the medical elite were still arguing whether it opened harmful pores. Instead, most people cleaned themselves the way you'd dust an old bookshelf, briskly with a cloth and some hope. Perfume, however, is thriving. Every respectable Parisian owns at least one pomander or scented handkerchief. And those towering wigs? Not just for style. They're often powdered with violet or orris root to fight the funk. Unfortunately, this creates a strange olfactory effect, a kind of floral fog hovering over a sea of muck. One writer called the city's scent an orchard left to ferment. The animals don't help. Horses line the boulevards, goats roam freely, and stray dogs patrol alleyways with unbothered dignity. None are toilet trained, and Parisian sewers, what few exist, are shallow, inconsistent, and sometimes just trenches with boards over them. Occasionally they overflow. The smell when that happens? Best not to dwell on it. Let's just say it makes people pray for wind. Of course, modern scholars still debate the exact magnitude of the stench. Was it constant, or did it come in waves? Were some districts worse than others? There's no consensus. Only the lingering image of you, squinting against the afternoon sun, ankle deep in historical realism. You retreat indoors, brushing the city from your boots as best you can. But the scent follows, like an overly persistent suitor. Your host greets you with powdered cheeks, a lavender sachet pinned to her bodice, and something vaguely herbal simmering in a copper pot over the fire. She's doing her best, you remind yourself. Everyone is. In 18th century Paris, masking the smell becomes a kind of national pastime. Fragrance is both shield and social weapon. You carry orange blossom water in a glass vial around your neck, not just for fashion, but to dab beneath your nose when walking past a particularly egregious alley. The wealthy even scent their gloves. Visitors from abroad note that French hands often smell of rose or bergamot, even while their streets do not. And yet the techniques are variable. Some households burn bundles of rosemary or vinegar-soaked sponges to purify the air. Apothecaries hawk odor-absorbing pastilles and wax tablets. At parties, bowls of cloves and citrus peel are tucked discreetly under chairs. It's like playing hide-and-seek with the smell of the city, except the smell always wins. The Palace of Versailles is no better. For all its golden halls and silken upholstery, there are whispers about hallways used as urinals and courtiers discreetly relieving themselves behind tapestries. One visitor claimed the scent of Versailles was sweetened rot, though historians disagree on just how dramatic that judgment was. Perhaps they simply disliked the cheese. Odd solutions crop up constantly. Pine cones soaked in vinegar, hollow canes filled with crushed herbs. A rather creative inventor even proposed a sort of odor umbrella, a parasol with perfumed paper flaps meant to waft away city fumes as you walked. It didn't catch on, but you sort of wish it had. Imagine the polite dueling of citrus and camphor umbrellas in a crowded square. And through it all, Parisians keep going. They shop, they gossip, they fall in love under balconies that reek of ancient soup. Because in the end, if you're going to smell like something, you might as well pick the notes yourself. By evening, you find yourself lingering near the Pont Neuf, the scent of the Seine rolling in, a brackish, unpredictable perfume all its own. Beneath your feet, the river stirs with secrets, most of them unpleasant. But as lanterns flicker on and couples stroll by in russet cloaks, Something else stirs too: the faint beginnings of public health awareness. Paris, long accustomed to its own bouquet of mildew and manure, begins to flirt with sanitation reform in earnest. Enlightenment thinkers start asking dangerous questions like, what if people didn't have to live in their own waste? You nod approvingly at the sentiment, though your shoes remain skeptical. In 1740, the city introduces its first organized street cleaning service. Not glamorous work, but deeply necessary. Men with carts and brushes are paid to scrape away the worst of it, although some just shove the mess into gutters and call it a day. Later, public officials even consider banning open defecation, though enforcing such rules proves tricky in a city with more residents than toilets. There's also a slow rise in what we'd now call public hygiene propaganda. Broadsheets warn of foul air carrying disease, and illustrations show death itself riding a cloud of sewage mist. Are these medically accurate? Not quite, but they move the needle. People start investing in chamber pots with lids, in window glass, in the luxury of soap made from real olive oil instead of, say, crushed animal bits. Scholars still argue how effective these reforms were. Some suggest Paris remained stubbornly ripe until the 19th century. Others believe these early efforts at least made the stench intermittent rather than omnipresent. The truth, as usual, lies somewhere between optimism and mildew. As the moon rises over rooftops and you head home, you notice a boy splashing lavender water on the doorstep of his mother's bakery. Is it tradition or wishful thinking? Either way, it's oddly touching. The war against odor, after all, is eternal. But Parisians never gave up. They just perfumed the battlefield.